falls at his feet. Now the woman was a Gentile of the Syrophoenician race. And she kept asking. There it is again. She's begging, man. She's praying. She's asking. She's on her knees. She's on the face. How many people get on their face for somebody to ask for something? You know? And just constantly asking, crying out for God, for something. Or you just sit there and just say, I know I'm getting healed. I know I'm healed. I'm already healed. These guys were fighting for something. For healing, for anything from God. And she kept asking him to cast out the demon out of her daughter. And he was saying to her, let the children be satisfied first. For it is not good to take the children's bread and throw it to the dogs. He's calling her dog, basically, indirectly. But she don't give up. She keeps going. She keeps fighting. He's calling her indirectly a dog, but she ain't giving up. She's asking him, please help me. But she answered and said to him, yes, Lord, but even the dogs under the table feed on the children's crumbs. And he said to her, because, there it is again, because she did something, she did a work, and it stirred God up to change, to do what she wanted. Because of this answer, go. Because of her answer, her response. The demon has gone out of your daughter. And going back to her home, she found the child lying on the bed, the demon having left. I mean, that's so clear. She's begging. These people just begging God for things, and they receive them. They're fighting for it. And even though God says, called her indirectly a dog, and didn't really, he gave her what she wanted eventually, because she was persistent. She kept knocking, kept seeking, kept fighting for what she wanted, to get her healing, to get whatever she had. Your faith, your battle towards God can get you saved. That's basically the story here. Let's go now to Mark 7, 31 to 35. Here's another, in this story here, people begged Jesus to heal a deaf and hard of speaking person. They begged him, man. They got it. 31, and he went out from the region of Tyre and came through Sidon to the Sea of Galilee, within the regions of Decapolis. Okay? They brought to him one who was deaf and spoke with difficulty, and they implored him to lay his hand on him. They're begging him. Jesus took him aside from the crowd by himself and put his fingers into his ears, and after spitting, he touched his tongue with the saliva. And looking up to heaven with a deep sigh, he said to him, I don't know how to say that, but Ephatha, that is, be open. And his ears were open, and immediately of his tongue was removed.
The armies of heaven praising God.
And the impediment and his ears were open, and the impediment of his tongue was removed, and he began speaking plainly. And he gave them orders not to tell anyone, but the more he ordered them, the more widely they continued to proclaim it. They were utterly astonished, saying, he has done all things well. He makes even the deaf to hear and the mute to speak. They're begging him. They got their healing. Begging. Don't give up on begging God for something. He'll give it. Basically, the stories are, even in unrighteous people will give you some. If you continue to beg for them, how much more will God? That's the basic story there. We go to Mark 8, verse 1 to 9 now. Jesus feels compassion because the people stayed with him for 3 days, and now having nothing to eat and are starving. The works of persistence moved God toward compassion for the people. It's clear in this one. These people are just fighting to stay with Jesus. They just want to be around him so long that They even go to the point where they're starving and they're hungry. And Jesus doesn't want to let them go because they'll faint down the way. So he's moved and has compassion over them. God is moved because these people. Verse 1 to 9, chapter 8 of Mark. In those days, when there was again a large crowd, and they had nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples and said to them, I feel compassion for the people because, there it is again, because people moved them for compassion. They have remained with me now 3 days and nothing to eat. You fight for God and you beg for him and you constantly go looking for him. He's going to be moved for compassion. He's going to do something for you. If I send them away hungry to their homes, they will faint on the way. These guys are hungry. They got nothing to eat. And some of them have come from a great distance. And his disciples answered him, where will anyone be able to find enough bread here in this desolate place to satisfy these people? And he was asking them, how many loaves do you have? And they said, 7. And he directed the people to sit down on the ground. And taking the 7 loaves, he gave thanks and broke them and started giving them to his disciples to serve to them. And they served them to the people. They also had a few small fish, and after he had blessed them, he ordered these to be served as well. And they ate and were satisfied, and they picked up 7 large baskets full of what was left over of the broken pieces. About 4,000 were there, and he sent them away. This is a great miracle right here. It happened because the people stayed with him for 3 days and moved God for compassion to give them all this food. It was a blessing. So works do move God. It's obvious. It's right here in the Bible. Let's look now at John chapter 6, verse 28 through 29, where it says faith is a work to get to God. Basically that's what it's saying there. John chapter 6. You say you don't got to do works, but hey, faith is a work. Just thinking is a work. John chapter 6, verse 28. Therefore, they said to him, what shall we do? What work? So that we may work the works of God. What can we do to do the works of God? They want to do these works. Jesus answered and said to them, this is the work of God, that you believe in him whom he has sent. To believe him is a work. Just thinking is a work. Words of Jesus Christ Almighty. Don't tell me only faith saves. If faith is a work. Faith, works, everything. You must do everything that he wants you to do. And walk in total righteousness. That's what he wants you to do. And then you're saved. Let's look at Luke 18, verse 18 through 30. And here, what to do for eternal life. Keep the commandments of the law and obey God. This is salvation. This is what this is talking about here. This is a story about salvation. What you have to do for eternal life. Luke 18, 18 through 30. If you really read this story, this is the story teaching you what you really got to do by Jesus Christ to be saved. A ruler questioned him, saying, good teacher, what shall I do to inherit eternal life, to be saved? And Jesus said to him, why do you call me good? No one is good except God alone. Do you know the commandments? Do not commit adultery. Do not murder. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother. And he said, all these things I have kept from my youth. So Jesus guided him towards the law to be saved. And this guy is saying he just does it all. When Jesus heard this, he said to him, one thing you still lack. Sell all that you possess and distribute it to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. But when he had heard these things, he became very sad, for he was extremely rich.